Hello and welcome back to Call Center Helper. My name is Xander Freeman, and today we're talking all about the exciting news of Thoma Bravo announcing the intention to acquire Verint and merge with Calabrio in a deal worth around $2 billion. I'm excited to be joined by the CEO of Calabrio, Dave Rhodes. Hello, Dave.
Morning, Xander. Good to see you again.
Great to see you again too, Dave. So, this is major news not only for the workforce engagement management circles, but the wider customer contact industry as well.
It is, and if you think about where the contact center has evolved over the last 5 to 7 years, it's gone from being a cost center, a necessary evil, to really one of the last bastions of being able to enable enterprises to stay connected with their consumers and their markets. One of the few single threads that bind them together, and so. There is a lot of money that continues to be spent in the industry. If you think about it, we estimate over 700 billion USD turnover annually, and that's technology. That's also people.
Mm.
And as much as we talk about AI and automation and its role in driving agent count down, the fact is a lot of our customers have told us we're not driving down agent count as much as we are looking for ways to make them more effective
Mm.
and more efficient. And so we're excited about the potential of this combination. I think we'll get through this discussion, and unfortunately, there will be a lot of things that really it's inappropriate for me to comment on right now, in part because we're in the middle of the antitrust work that we do to make sure that all government parties know that this is a great thing for the industry, as well as we're just preliminary in terms of planning. But we see the combination as being really compelling. We both, to your point, have really great WEM solutions, both WFM and QM, or conversation intelligence, as we like to call it. We both have a strategy around helping customers through sophisticated AI-driven analytics get the best out of the interaction data that they have when they interact with customers. What's particularly compelling about what Verint brings to the equation is a significant investment in CX automation.
Mm.
They've been for years building and buying AI-driven solutions, copilots, bots, and other automations to really make the agent's life easier, make them more efficient, take the menial
Mm.
tasks off their plate, and take the things off their plate that are just way too hard for one single human being to tackle on their own. And so collectively, we see ourselves as a category leader in CX performance, CX automation, and next to none in the industry.
And I think you can see that, like you were saying earlier, with the sort of the positioning work that both Verint and Calabria have done over the last few years, just to take a small vacuum there, you can see the sort of compatibility there, I think.
You're absolutely right. One of the things that we love this combo for so many reasons, but one of the big reasons is that we share a philosophy
Mm.
around two things, and it's not just a philosophy. We walk the talk.
Mm.
The first philosophical element is we both have been building open platforms.
Mm.
We have, collectively several hundred integrations to all the CCaaS providers that are out there in the market, CRM, service desk, legacy systems that are out there in the world. We support all those connections in production. And the nice thing about that is we have the expertise to enable customers to have choice,
Mm.
to put our platforms anywhere and everywhere in their work center, call center workflow. And we have the expertise to support them in doing that. That's the first philosophical and actually practical point. The second one is that we, in a really uncanny way, maybe we had some common marketing resources working on this at some point in time. One person left and went to the other company or something, but we're really focused on enabling customers to generate quantitative business outcomes very quickly. And so with both solutions, oftentimes we find ourselves being able to deploy in a matter of days, not weeks, not months, and really start to show hardcore quantitative ROI very quickly. And so those things bind us together. And as we think through the implications of our product strategy over time, those will be things that we absolutely hold as really critical for us
A lot of
and for our
time,
customers.
well, a lot of time when I'm doing interviews like this, I always try and figure out, right, okay, how can we get the conversation on the benefits to end users and consumers in this industry? And it's really nice to hear on something like this, something as complex as a deal this size. Obviously, these types of conversations are taking place at the top level. It's definitely,
Yeah,
yeah, you can tell from the way you articulate that, like I say, the messaging that both of you have put out since the news broke as well. It seems to be very much at the forefront of your decision making.
100%, 100% benefit to agents, the contact center leaders that run, pools of agents. It's an amazing opportunity for the industry.
Amazing. So I'll tell you what then, we've talked about the benefits for end users. We've talked a little bit about how it fits in with the wider partner ecosystem, some of the integrations you have available. Let's talk about what's next. I appreciate there's a lot of stuff, like you say, we can't talk about right now, but I've noticed a lot of work from Calabrio in the recent months on workforce intelligence. Where does that fit into the wider picture?
Absolutely. Well, I would start by saying AI is at the center of everything that we do, both respectively as individual companies right now, and collectively once we come together. And of course, I would be just another talking head if that's all I said, because I'm sure everybody tells you that. But the practical nature of it is that our customers, both at Calabrio and Verint, are adopting our AI-driven, newer technology very rapidly. On the Calabrio side, the customer count in terms of in production deployments of conversation intelligence that's been developed in the last 4 quarters is up 544%.
Hmm.
And this quarter, we're in the third month of the third quarter of the year. Sales from AI products will make up over 78% of our overall bookings for the quarter. If you're a student of Verint, you hear them on their analyst calls say that over half of their ARR is based on AI solutions, either in the automation side
Hmm.
or their traditional analytics and WIM capabilities. And so, AI at the center, what does that mean? Customers are adopting to transform their workflows and the way they run their business. Number two, we're developing and innovating very fast, and so we're trying to stay ahead of customer demand. And third and finally, we're monetizing it. And so AI is at the center. In terms of what's next, we think there are so many additional use cases
Hmm.
to really enable in a more effective way using AI. And one of the things that we're excited about is we are evolving how we think about workforce management specifically. Our new acronym, Xander, one you're going to have to remember is WFI, Workforce Intelligence. It starts with very simple use cases like putting a co-pilot in front of what is today industry-leading WFM from Calabrio, and just letting whether it's an agent or a workforce manager query drive different actions via natural language. It's super easy and takes a lot of hunting and pecking with a keyboard or looking at spreadsheets. Just having a conversation with a co-pilot that's helping you change your schedule, that's helping you look at where maybe your average hold times are too high and you need to add resources, et cetera. Very simple use cases. We've gone beyond that, though, and that's in production right now and available to all our customers
Hmm.
and prospects. We're going beyond that, though, to really enable workforce management with AI to start to drive real-time actions, next best actions. So think about what we've been doing over the last year in taking what's actually happening and the interactions between agents and end customers and using quality scores, using trending topics, using sentiment, et cetera, to start to inform your workforce planning, your workforce capacity, your workforce scheduling. Uh, that's been going on for a year now. What we've done is we've taken AI and started to automate some of the capabilities so we can represent to a GM or a workforce manager, hey, you're low on capacity in this particular category area. Here are three steps that you can take right now to automate and build up capability literally in real time when it's happening. Think of a travel disruption. An airline is trying to provide service to their consumers. There is a weather delay. Oh my gosh, there's a massive amount of rescheduling that needs to be able to take place. Being able to do that preemptively and then in real time to move capacity over to some agents who might want some overtime,
Mm.
as an example, is a very simple example of how we're transforming the workflow.
There's a couple of things I want to pick out of what you've just said there. One, I think you're right. I mean, you and I are recording this interview September 2025. I think it's a really interesting time now. I appreciate this is a fairly niche benefit of what's going on between Calabria and Verint at the moment. But what I love is we're at the point where there's so many good use cases of early movers with AI in this industry. And again, having the
Totally.
field to play with not only Calabria, but Verint as well, use cases. I'm very excited for that. But I do appreciate that's a niche benefit for someone like me. What I also want to point on there is what you mentioned, the proactive use cases of AI. And I think we're about to see some really interesting stuff moving in towards the tail end of 2025 and early 2026 as well. There's some really interesting stuff coming out.
Yeah, I think that having come myself, having come from a stint in the games industry, it was only when I got there that I appreciate the nature of real time automation.
Mm.
Real time is 90 to 120 frames per second in the game industry, and it's bidirectional. I'm playing against you, and basically the programs are running faster than you and I can think.
Mm.
And that's because in the gaming industry, you have to.
Mm.
Here in the industrial space and things like CX,
Mm.
it's a real competitive advantage to be able to do things in real time, and the technology's there. AI drives it, and it's there in production today, and it allows you to make smarter decisions quicker that ultimately benefit consumers in a really big way.
Dave, there's so many more questions I know you and I could go into, but for the sake of time, I think we'll have to wrap it up there. News is the deal with Calabria and Verint is expected to close in early 2026, so really excited to see what comes there. However, if you are interested for some new news coming out on this deal, you guys have C3 Customer Connect in Dallas, Texas on, I believe it is the 14th to the 16th of September, correct?
That's correct. We hope to see all of you there, as many of you who can get there.
Perfect. Dave, thank you so much for joining me again.
Xander, I appreciate it. You be well.
Cheers.